Hey, whenever you see the man in the waistcoat, you know what we're doing. It is another segment of the Chad Prather Show we like to call High Balls with Heaton. Andrew Heaton.
Hello.
The host of Something's Off with Andrew Heaton. Welcome back to Studio
Thank
22.
you. I'm back. I'm glad to be here.
This is the best thing we do.
I agree.
This is the best thing. People love it. Mm-hmm. People love you. People love me. They love us together. It's a
the
thing.
synergy, the us.
We are so much of an us.
Chadton, Heather.
And Chad Drew.
Yeah.
I could be Chad Drew.
Okay.
Chad Drew Pratherton.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Chad Drew Pratherton, which sounds like the villain in a 1980s movie that's going to shut down the ski lodge.
Yeah.
Chadster Pratherton. Yeah.
Chandru Heater. Not quite the same. Doesn't have quite the, So anyway, Pratherton's far, far better. Yeah. Anyway, did you see that movie? Did you ever see that movie, Avalanche? Came out in I think it had.
Is that where they say the ski lodge? No, that's out cold.
No, they were in a ski lodge and they come out. It was done in 80. I want to say Rock Hudson was in this thing. I don't even remember. I watched that recently. Hands down, worst movie ever. I mean, the worst.
A 1980s action film about an avalanche? Wasn't that good?
No, it's horrible.
Okay.
It's the worst thing ever. I don't know what maybe. Oh, you said about a ski resort, like a terrorist. That comes
I like tropes. Tropes amuse me. They're fun to play with. Mm-hmm. And so, I feel like we all kind of we could spot that.
Yeah. Especially the ones that have the multiple syllables. So you have promised that you are sticking to one cocktail today.
Yeah.
Just one, because you have a lot of work to do.
A lot of work to do.
A lot of work to do. We are drinking TX whiskey that is blended and bottled right here in Fort Worth, Texas. Of course, we're in Dallas, but there you can see that. Boom, there it is. TX whiskey. I was their tour guide at the distillery for about 2.5 years. Back when I needed a entertainment outlet, we'd take 60 people through for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I had a blast doing that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would love to, eventually I'd love to become like a Scotch brand ambassador. They usually pick like a 23-year-old co-ed, but if they have like a B team, I think I could do really good pushing Lefroy.
Well, I used to always talk to the TX guys, and I would say, they wanted to be whiskey sophisticates, right? Mm-hmm. For them, it's all about the culture of whiskey, and they kind of shied away from that type of image of the whiskey. But then they got into the thing, and they were like, hey, well, whatever sells booze.
Yeah, eventually they started looking at how expensive it is to run a distillery.
Amazingly, boobs do sell booze.
Yes.
They do.
Yeah.
So if you don't understand what we do here, we usually pick a topic. Andrew picks a topic out of the head, and we discuss it. And that's pretty much what we do. And we drink cocktails because this is High Balls with Heaton. Now look over here at the Peanut Gallery. I just want to give you all a little quick image. Party Foul Steve's over there wearing a Party Foul hat, sold out, unavailable. And Heaton's producer Jennings is sitting over there wearing Glenn Beck's cowboy hat that we found somewhere around the studio.
I'm going to be in so much trouble for this.
No. I promise you, Beck doesn't even know where it is.
He does now.
I am a big fan of the new hat, Jennings. I
like
think
it.
keep that on forever.
I did hear from someone that they had heard this is Glenn's favorite show to watch on the Blaze.
It's fantastic. We love Glenn Beck here. We love Glenn Beck. I'm coming for you, Beck. You look good.
Thank you. Somebody said I look like Haas from.
You kind of do look like
Bonanza.
Haas, but your hat would have to be bigger.
I'm all right with that, though.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to sign it with a Sharpie marker and give it back to Glenn. Okay.
Here's that's a great idea. Here's your autograph, Glenn.
Here's your final paycheck.
Let's not do that. Okay. So anyway,
do put a memo in there. Put in like a sticky note that's slightly ominous, just to see what happens.
Oh, beautiful. Inside the hat, like in the brim or something?
Just like, Glenn, no reason to be suspicious.
Yeah.
Kisses, signed,
Josh.
Abraham Lincoln.
How hard is it to get DNA out of a hat?
Do we want to clone Glenn Beck? That'd be fantastic. The world could end more times.
Yes. Maybe they'd cancel each other out and everything would be just peace from now on.
Exactly. I love you, Glenn. No, I have fun doing these things, so let's do this.
Okay.
Let's do this. Get into the head. I'm always scared because Candice, Queen of the Ethiopians, sitting over here at the control booth, she came up with all these topics and just did a fantastic job. But I'm always afraid you're going to pull something out, and I'm going to I don't know anything about any of that.
Oh, wow. No, this is great. This is a good topic.
Oh, God, here we go.
It's like we should probably be 2 fingers further into where we are. I'm referring to this.
Hang on. You can only have one.
Yeah, you may want to rephrase that, Heaton.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. We should drink probably 2 fingers worth of whiskey before we hit this one, but it's a good one.
Okay.
Do you believe in past lives?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's set up the background for that deal. Let's spring off of this thing. So obviously, I know that you're an atheist that's going to hell. And that's pretty much where you live your life.
I'm an agnostic that's going to hell, which is to say that I'm an atheist who's decided not to be a about it. So that's what I am.
I always love that reaction. That's why I always say atheist. So you'll say that. It's so true.
Isn't it agnostic, a maybe or maybe not?
Yeah, yes, I don't definitively know either way, but I do prefer the term because I like religious people, and I'm first of all, I don't like living in a big empty materialist void. I hope I'm wrong, and then beyond that, I'm perfectly fine. If you go to church, as long as you're not trying to legislate my sex life or what I can drink or that kind of thing, I am gung ho about anything that makes you happy, and I think community is great. But I find that most people that say they're atheists are atheists, and want to fight about it.
And I'm kind atheist of evangelists.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like a pro-religion atheist. I think there's a lot of good that comes from it.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
Which an agnostic, by the definition of the word, means I don't know. I'm not for or against. I'm a-knowledge. I'm just like being amoral. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, gnosis is the Greek word for knowledge. So I don't know. I'm questioning. I'm open to it. Whatever. Either way, God's gonna get you, son. He loves you.
I hope he does.
I hope he does too.
I hope he does. That'd be great. If I got hit by a bus and there's just a big blinding white light and a feeling of love, I wouldn't be like, oh man, I feel embarrassed. I was wrong. I would be like, oh good, this is a pleasant turn of events.
When I pass away and I go out into this formless, lifeless void of non-existence, and I realize that I've been wrong all these years, the first person I'm going to be pissed at is you. Just because I can be, Heaton. Just because I can be. Heaton was right.
That 5-second window, like the French Revolution, when your head has been severed from your body,
Exactly.
but before the lights go out.
And you're in the basket. You're in the basket, and you're like, God, that sun is bright. and your neck is spurting blood, and you're like, I can't see.
You know what, though, on the note of past lives, though, I've been hanging out with Buddhists quite a lot.
Yeah,
I've been
that.
getting into Buddhism, so this is kind of pertinent. I can't speak with any authority on this, but it's something I've thought about a lot recently.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I like Buddhism. And I'm going to paraphrase this through me. I'm not speaking as a Buddhist, and I don't have the authority level to do that. But it seems to me that Buddha said, people want stuff to stay the same, and it doesn't, and that really pisses people off.
That's actually a direct quote.
It's a direct quote. That's
signed.
That's
the Buddha.
That's Sanskrit, and I read that. I think that's true. I think things are always in a state of flux, and we all want to grip things, and we want them to stay the same, and they don't, and it drives us berserk. And if you can just be like, you know what, everything's going to change. I'm going to change. I'm always in a state of flux. I'm getting older. I'm always going to get older. There's not going to be a stasis point. Then you're already well ahead of the game. And and be nice to people, that kind of thing. All that stuff that we're into. Yeah. And I think kind of the concept of self, because in Buddhism. It's not like in Christianity, the self is a very clearly defined thing. It's got kind of that Obi-Wan Force ghost field going on. There's a soul. I think you've mentioned soul and spirit and body before, which is interestingly very much keeping with Orthodox theology,
right?
Which is where Jennings and I come out of. But there's still this very Platonic idea of a spirit, right? Whereas in Buddhism, I think it's much more fluid. You don't necessarily exist as we would normally think, although they do believe in past lives, which I have to say really trips me up. Because it's like you don't self doesn't exist. You're just kind of you're the eddy in the river rather than the river. It's like, well, then what are you talking about with past lives? If I just kind of like spell apart. But they're into that. Reincarnation is a big part of Buddhism and Hinduism. And so a lot of people I know think that they've had past lives.
Yeah. Buddha looks so happy.
Yeah.
Not sure he was, but he just looks so happy. Every time I see his little fat belly and his arms up when we go over here to Happy Thai.
Yeah.
And he is just the happiest Thai over there eating those noodles. Buddha. But let me see if I can figure out how I want to delve into this. Past lives in terms of reincarnation. No, I don't believe in that. But I do think that if God is eternal, and this is one of these late at night, you're laying there and you can't sleep, and this is what you start thinking about, where does an eternal God come from? And I've always said, well, do I believe something has to be forever? So either you have an eternal being or you have eternal matter.
Yeah.
Something had to start this mess.
Something was always...
Or this is a dream world, and you and I are not really here.
Or it was always there. I mean, I think that's predicated on based on everything we know, on our understanding of causality. That anything that exists has to have a beginning.
Yeah.
But it might just be that I mean, something has also always existed. Either God has always existed or the universe has always existed. But something's
So for me, the
constant.
logical step, I just have an easier time believing in an eternal being than I do eternal matter. So that's because what is the causation? Where does it come from? So it is beyond my ability to embrace that reality. You can't explain it, but you sit around and you think about this when you're 12 years old, 13 years old.
I'm well into my 30s, yeah.
Yeah, we're still doing that. And then you think about, okay, what is life? Is there life after death? What happens? I'm 46 years old. You start to get, things start
Which
falling
can I just say
apart.
that irritates me so much because you look like you're maybe a month and a half older than I am, and I'm 35.
that's
and like
because-
if I shave and wait a year, I'm going to look like Ian McKellen, and you're going to look identical.
That's because he has more than one whiskey every time he sits down.
That's right.
I'm not
virtually,
getting enough preservatives in my system. That's the
I'm
problem.
pickled. I'm pickled.
Okay,
I'm already embalmed.
Yeah, okay.
Basically.
I'll be 72 in September.
And look at his beard. Look how good his beard looks.
I know, right? No, if I shave, I really have the baby face. I really do. I got to shave next week for a documentary I'm doing in Atlanta. Anyway, that's a side point. But I'm not looking forward to shaving it. So I look at this and I'm like, okay, you get to a point in life and you start looking at your frailty and finality, and you're going, okay, what is next? Is there anything next? Do we just go to sleep and it's like, going into surgery where I don't remember any of that? And when you're done, you're done. It's out. That wouldn't be a bad eternity right there. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know what you don't know. I don't want to be in the 9th level of Dante's hell.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Nobody
I don't want to be in
wants that.
Southern Baptist hell. That does not appeal to me.
No.
Episcopalian hell, maybe. Southern Baptist hell, no, thank you.
I don't even want to be in a Catholic purgatory. I don't want to suffer. I'm not into that. I don't do it now.
Yeah.
Heaton is going to spend eternity going, if only someone would have regulated my sex life.
I regret that one time.
I think we've earned enough penance being in Studio 22 because it feels like the thermostat is set on hell. So here we are in this sweat box, and you wearing a waistcoat. But anyway, go back to that. So, but okay, if we're going to use the Bible, you're going to use the Scripture. I'll give you a pretty good verse of Scripture that most people know. It says that his mercy is from everlasting to everlasting. Okay, well, that's saying that mercy, if you want it, if you need it, if you ask for it, and there's other places in Scripture that say that it is a requirement that you have to want it. Because if you don't think you need mercy, you're probably not going to get it. If you think you need it, he'll give it to you. It's from everlasting to everlasting. He's generous and he gives it. But that speaks to the eternality of that God figure. He's from everlasting to everlasting. He's merciful, therefore his mercy is. But why do I need everlasting mercy? Why do I need, for the future, for this life and the next. But does that mean that mercy extends to me as far back? Because obviously, if you believe in any sort of foreknowledge or predestination, you have to know that God knew all things even before he created it. And here we are. So he knew me. The prophet Jeremiah says that he knew me, but even before I was formed in my mother's womb. So, there has to be this element of eternality about all of us. And eternal does not mean, or eternal is if you understand the Scripture definition, is not a length of life, it's a quality of life. So, there's that element of this eternality that is not just about our future and living forever, so to speak. Like that old talking about Southern Baptist hell, I can remember that old, if there was a marble the size of the sun, and every 1,000 years a dove flew past it, and the tip of his feathered wing brushed against that marble. And every 1,000 years, whenever that marble the size of the sun was reduced just to a small piece of rock, eternity has just begun. Well, that's ominous as hell.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do this.
I don't know. I just got aroused a little bit there.
Did you like my my
that was
Orson
nice.
Welles
Yeah,
attraction?
very nice.
Yes.
I think you're right about eternity, though, because if God exists and if he created space-time, let's assume that he did, then he would presumably be outside of it. So I'm in my mind, I'm picturing it like we're living in a film where we're going through film frame by film frame, moment by moment. But if you're outside of space-time, you're looking at all of them simultaneously, like a
You're transcendent.
Yeah,
You're outside of it.
you're living in an eternal now.
Yeah.
But you're looking at everything. So for you and me, we're going through this in a linear capacity, but presumably upon death, we would get outside of that and be into a timeless space.
Right. Well, so I have people all the time who say, well, the universe is forever. It just expands forever. Well, if you believe in God, you can't believe that because a God being would be the only thing transcendent in our world. And so that means that there has to be a limit even to the universe because otherwise the universe would be transcendent, which would be an attribute only available to God.
You've lost me. How come you can't have an infinite? What if God made the infinite universe? And he's like, there you go.
Because ultimately he made it, therefore he's still got to be bigger than it. So
Okay.
if he's transcendent, it stands to reason in that syllogism that he would not be, that the universe must have a limit to it. But again, it's one of those mysteries. Who the hell knows? He does because he's transcendent.
Yeah, I'm never going to figure out where that edge is.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a place I want to go.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's where Thor went when Odin's son, the end of Endgame. Have you seen that yet?
I have not.
You're
That's
really-
one of my major
Spoiler
deficits as a
alert.
nerd is I'm not into superheroes. I like, and it's a weird thing because I love Star Trek and Star Wars, but just superheroes it's not a thing for me.
Did y'all go see it the other day, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, because I gave you tickets. I didn't want those.
Yep.
Anyway.
I only fell asleep 6 times.
I know, right? Listen,
I'll pay $8 for a nap anytime.
It's sleep worthy. It really is.
Would you go to a past life regression person?
That'd be interesting.
Like next time I'm in Fort Worth, that'd be a fun day.
Let's go.
I'd be in favor of that. I'd be curious to see.
Do we have that?
There's probably some somewhere.
Beulah, she's got a little parlor set up in the front of her house with a neon sign that says open.
And and there's a neon sign of a woman holding a crystal ball.
Yeah.
Although I think that there's kind of a danger there too. Like let's say like going back to Buddhism, like it's sort of that worldview of past lives is built into it and merit and karma. But at the same time, the presumption is that it's not really. It's kind of like the key issue is suffering, and you want to end suffering and escape from suffering and the cycle of suffering. So it's kind of like you've been shot by a gun, and you're wanting to know who shot the gun and what kind of thing. And the Buddha's like, just worry about the gunshot wound. Just try and clean the wound. That's what we're doing right here. But a lot of people will go down a rabbit hole and they'll go into I was Cleopatra and I did all these different things. And I'm like, well, now you're not living your life anymore. Now you're kind of living vicariously through something that may or may not be a story somebody made up.
Yeah, you might be Candace, Queen of the Ethiopians. We don't know. I love how these people are always Napoleon Bonaparte or they were somebody famous. I
might have been to town drunk.
Yeah, somewhere in
That's not a
history,
past life,
there
Steve.
is a village missing an idiot. Somewhere out there in
Probably
Game of
so.
Thrones world.
I
Yeah.
slept through that the other night, too.
Did you?
Yep.
So much of life he's missing.
Have you ever encountered any evidence of past lives that made you do a double take?
I hear people talk about things like deja vu and like I've been here before, I felt this, or I recognize this or something, and something resonates. And but no, I talk to a lot of people, everything from spiritualists, religionists, different walks of faiths, and even paranormal people. I mean, this is the job. We meet everybody. We talk to everybody. I've had paranormal, quote unquote, experts. I don't know how you become an expert on there. But it's interesting. You hear those stories, and they're awfully convincing in many cases, depending on how strong the story's told. But no, I think that our lives are, again, I go back to the Bible. We're created in God's image. I think that is a unique image. I think that is one of dignity. I think it's one of special creation. And when you look at that, you say, well, I think that our lives are so unique and so significant that we are, quote, fearfully and wonderfully made, that what has been packed into our one human life is so big and so spiritually eternal and special that I think that that's what we were created for, was this one life. And then hopefully for the life after. But again, there's a lot of mysteries there, and that's what comes down to people having that personal faith. And the thing that speaks to me is how many billions of people over history have had those conversion experiences that are so similar, and in miraculous conversions in many, many cases. And while that is a subjective experience, it's interesting to see how those things transpire.
Well, it would also be like one of those things where, let's say I go outside today and I'm struck by lightning and I have a epiphanal moment where I meet God and everything. Under that circumstance, there's no way I can verify that for other people, but it would be a personally overwhelming experience to the point of no, I've done this thing, I've met this thing, but you can't. It's not really evidence you can use for other people in the sense that they can share in on it, but it would be difficult. If it happened to you, it would be difficult to overturn using external rationality.
Yeah. No, there's no scientific method you can apply to it. There's really not.
I'll tell you something that I find. This isn't past lives, but it's trying to breach that spirituality rationality gap,
Right.
which I think is fascinating. There's a study that's been going on for a while out of a hospital. I don't remember which one. And what they do at this particular hospital is they've got an operating room where they've got like an iPad up at the ceiling, suspended by like a foot down from the ceiling, and it's facing up, and it's just showing random images. And they do it so that if anybody has an out-of-body experience, they can go, did you check out the iPad? And if they're like, yeah, I saw a building, and they're like, that's right. Like we were playing the Chrysler building when you were having that surgery.
Wow.
So far, no one's done it, but I think that's really interesting because if that were to be the case, because you hear these out-of-body experiences where someone's like, oh, I saw the doctors and I heard the defibrillator and all that. But if someone went, yeah, like I left and like there was a picture of a frog and then there was a picture of a cat and then like Boutros Ghali or whatever, that'd be a terrible one because I don't know what that guy looks like. I'm not even really sure who that is.
Well, I sat up there for 5 minutes trying to figure out where the hell those stairs were going in the dolly.
And then I got tired and I came back. Yeah, but that would be, then I'd be like, oh, nice, like done. Apparently we can float outside of the body.
Yeah.
Good job, Brookings or whoever's doing that.
Yeah, okay. Bottom line, do you believe in past life? Yes or no?
No.
Me either. All right, well, there we go. That was 21 minutes right there, folks. And we're pretty much smart, and we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So
there we go.
here we
That's
are.
the name of the episode. Pretty much smart.
We're pretty much smart. All right. Highballs with Heaton. Come on, you can drink more. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers. Stay alive. Stay alive, because we just don't know.
It's a wholly different quality of show when I can remember the beginning and the end. Very different right now.
Vastly less entertaining,
Am I right in thinking
however.
I'm not as loose at this point nor as funny?
You don't really want me to answer that, do you?
Well, it's good for the future because then we can know I should drink on my show.
You're not as loose or funny. That's true.
Oh, wow.
You need
Okay.
more whiskey.
Yeah, you're doing a great job of keeping me to that one drink maximum that I told you
You
about.
can just regulate
Thanks,
your
cowboy
sex
hat.
life. You can regulate your. Give him a cowboy hat. He
Within
gets
30
real
seconds,
arrogant.
Jennings is
doesn't he?
drunk and wearing Glenn's cowboy hat.
Totally different. This is my
Just
alter
be-
ego.
Just because you're wearing Glenn's hat doesn't mean you got the brains that Glenn has in
you're
his
right.
head. God, he went straight to the ego. Wow, Jennings.
Also, the apocalypse is tomorrow.
It is again tomorrow.
Again.
Yeah, the apocalypse is again tomorrow. We'll be back reporting day after with our brand new Rising S bunker that you can have for $8.5 million. Sleeps 22 people, has a pool, a hot tub, and a garage for 4 of your vehicles. Which I don't know where you're going to be driving after a nuclear.
Where are you
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
have
that's a good point. I guess you just have a car collection and you're like, you know what? If the grid goes down, I still want that Cadillac.
But where are you going to get gas to drive it around?
exactly.
After a
Well,
while.
I'd be more at that point. I'd be a lot more concerned about board games.
This one has a bowling alley and it has
Oh
a
my
billiard
God, I have to
room
bowl
with other games.
Like I do that once or twice a year, but that's going to be my primary stimulus is bowling.
I want to know who's going to set up the freaking pins.
You're gonna
Like if
get
that ever
really
goes down.
good at it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the bowling alley we never use right there. I want.
If I get to be in your bunker, I'll set the pins up.
No. You know what we said about past lives? No, I want no reminder of my past life pre-Armageddon. Steve, you're not getting in. Candace can come.
Steve, you have to be a warlord up top. You become like a Cormac
Viper
McCarthy
Force.
style
I'll
warlord.
do it.
Yeah. Be like the Duke of New York in Escape from L.A. or Escape from New York.
I like Book of Eli.
Hey, number
That's my
one.
favorite.
I'm just thinking of
apocalypse.
Book of
Good.
Eli.
That's
It's
a
my
really good movie.
favorite
I'm
apocalyptic.
gonna have to go back and watch me some Denzel.
Earmark that. I want to hear more about
Have
that.
you never seen the Book of Eli?
Haven't seen it.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Okay,
Pretty
cool.
good.
Denzel Washington. It's amazing.
Denzel.
Yeah, Denzel.
All right, we've devolved. I love you guys. Heaton, I love you more than anybody. And Jennings, Party Foul, Candice, and Mark. All right, we'll see you next time on another segment of Highballs with Heaton. And always, tune in, subscribe to Something's Off with Andrew Heaton. And as always, go to where podcasts are offered and get the Chad Prather Show. We love y'all. God bless. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.